Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million online rendezvous. This is Sramana Mitra coming to you live from Silicon Valley, California on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm the founder and CEO of 1 million by 1 million, the first and only global virtual accelerator for technology startups in the world. Wherever you are, I hope you're safe. And while some places are seeing improvement in COVID conditions, there are others that are seeing escalation. So wherever you are, I hope you're very, very careful and safe. So as you know, in 1 million by 1 million, we help entrepreneurs. Our mission is to help entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And in support of that mission, we work with you, interact with you through various different platforms. This being one of them. We also have every week free mentoring roundtables that happen on Thursday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific time. I often get the question, how can you get feedback on your startup project from me? And let me start by answering that question. Please come to one of those free public roundtables and I will work with you. Those are free, safe working sessions. So I'm very happy to work with you on your project and give you feedback at one of those sessions. If you go to our website, 1mby1m.com, and go to free public roundtables, you'll find the registration links there. Now, in these sessions, what we call the online rendezvous on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, we do Q&A. I get a lot of questions from various different touch points, and what we do is assemble a selection of questions, and then we answer those questions in these sessions. So that's what we're going to do today. I will also strongly urge you to ask questions and interact in the public chat in the comments section of your LinkedIn video or Facebook video, Twitter video, whatever. And I will engage with you after the video part of this session is over. And I will also pick up questions if they warrant a longer answer to include it in the next broadcast. All right. So let's go to the first question. The first question is, what is a good course for tech entrepreneurship? Now, there are lots of courses out there. I'm going to point you to a free course which I recorded upon request from LinkedIn a few years back. If you go to LinkedIn Learning, you should look for Sramana Mitra on bootstrapping, and it's just about an hour. And the reason I want you to start there is most courses of entrepreneurship tend to focus on fundraising. And I think that's a wrong place to start in learning entrepreneurship. You start with the wrong set of expectations and the wrong set of assumptions. I prefer that you start learning technology entrepreneurship methodology by starting with bootstrapping. So the LinkedIn course is free. You can take a look at it. We have that course on our website as well, on our blog. So if you just go do a search on bootstrapping course, you will find it on our blog as well. So there are many ways to find it, but Sramana Mitra on bootstrapping is a 1 hour introductory course that I think is a good starting point. Once you are through with that, if you want to keep going and learn a methodology of all the different topics that you need to learn, you could look at 1M by 1M Basic. You go to the website, 1mby1m.com, and go to the basic program. Basically, we steer you through all the common challenges faced by early stage tech entrepreneurs in that course. You will see that there This course, the basic course, is divided into two parts: core curriculum and the electives. In the core, we teach you bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. These are the 7 core modules of our curriculum. It's a digital curriculum available from anywhere in the world, and you can do it at your own time, at your own pace. There are many hundred hours worth of material in this course, and there are over 1,000 case studies that we have used to build this course. This includes 100 plus unicorn case studies, 400 plus venture funded case studies, and another 400 plus bootstrap case studies. So you get a very comprehensive 360-degree view of how entrepreneurs are putting one foot before the other, and you can learn a lot by standing on the shoulders of other people. On the electives, we deal with specific industry segments as one of the categories. So you will find an elective on Web 3.0 and e-commerce. We have one on cloud computing and business solutions that includes submodules like cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, all the top trends of the segment. We have a section on an elective on mobile and social apps. We, by the way, have nothing against services businesses. So outsourcing and consulting services is a perfectly fine area. We have an elective on that too. Healthcare IT, online education, gaming, these are all electives. We have an elective on building unicorn companies. We have an elective on women and entrepreneurship. We have a lot of women entrepreneurs who use the program. So on and so forth. So these are pointers to where you would find education. You would find guidance on methodology on how to put one foot before the other. That's probably a good place to start. And I would say, if you're at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, you do need a strategy of how you're going to learn methodology. And I suggest you organize yourself to spend at least 1 hour a day. If you have a job and you're doing this on the side, and if you have more time, put in more time, but put in a very regular learning schedule. Go into your calendar, your Google Calendar or Apple Calendar, and block off a time each day to study. Do an hour of curriculum, do an hour of studying, maybe do 2 hours of studying, and in the course of a month, in the course of 3 months, in the course of 6 months, you will master methodology, and that is vital. Otherwise, you're going to make a lot of mistakes that are perfectly avoidable, and you don't need to make those mistakes. They're completely unnecessary because we can teach you to avoid those mistakes. Okay, we'll go to the second question, which is, what are some proven strategies for entrepreneurs to get a phone meeting with VCs? This is actually very interesting given the times. Right now, in-person business meetings in general are not happening very much, right? We're in the middle of this COVID crisis, and especially in the technology industry, we're operating in virtual mode, and we're operating rather well in virtual mode. Unlike other industries, our industry, the digital industry, is working very well in virtual mode. We are used to technologies such as WebEx and Zoom and Google Hangout and Skype, and we know how to perform in our jobs within that framework. So, predictably, venture capital meetings are also happening online, over Zoom, over phone, so on and so forth. At 1 Million by 1 Million, we routinely provide introductions to entrepreneurs from all over the world. But I'm going to give you a bit of guideline on what you need to do to qualify for such an introduction, because just by joining 1 million by 1 million, you're not going to get introduced to VCs right away. I will need to work with you, understand your pitch, understand your value proposition, understand your business, probably do a few iterations to help you become fundable. And then when you are in my assessment, if I think that you are fundable, then I will send you to VCs. So the VCs are trying to understand answers to a set of questions. These questions we have made available for free on our website, 1mby1m.com, under self-assessment. So if you go to the self-assessment, you will find these questions. And I can go over a bit of that with you today. The first question that VCs are going to ask you is, have you validated your business with customers? Not with advisors, not with friends. You have to validate your business with customers, and they want to know what are customers saying about your value proposition. Secondly, positioning. Are you able to articulate a precise positioning of your solution? When people ask you, when investors ask you, who are you selling to? Who is your target customer? You have to answer that question very precisely and in a pretty narrow way. If you say, oh, we cater to everybody and their mother, that's not a good answer. So that is not going to be acceptable. Point number 3 is monetization. Free is not a business model. How do you monetize? We need to understand that. TAM, total available market. That's the market sizing. How big is your market opportunity? This determines your financing and go-to-market strategy in a significant way. Remember, VCs are trying to go from $0 to $100 million in revenue in 5 to 7 years. So you need to have a $1 billion plus TAM to qualify for this kind of a market opportunity. And it needs to be a fast growth TAM. So that's something you need to make a convincing case for. We spend a lot of time in the mentoring sessions dealing with TAM models and positioning and so forth. So this is something that you have to get right to qualify to talk to VCs and to have a positive experience with VCs. Bootstrapping. Have you done enough bootstrapping before approaching investors? Is your company fundable, or is it one that needs to be bootstrapped all the way? So these days, very few VCs would write a check unless you're showing a validated business. That means you have to bootstrap to validation. There's no choice. Our philosophy and our methodology in 1 million by 1 million is bootstrap first, raise money later. Financing. Over 99% of entrepreneurs who go out to raise money get rejected. Are you planning to raise money? Do you understand what it takes to raise money? What investors are looking for? Is your company fundable? Do you know how to assess what is fundable and what is not? And if you have already gone and started talking to investors, do you know why you're getting rejected? All of these are questions that need to be addressed before we introduce you to investors. Customer acquisition. What is your customer acquisition strategy? What is the cost of acquisition? What is the conversion rate? If you are generating a lot of free traffic, what is the conversion rate? What are the channels that you're using for customer acquisition? What is the cost of that channel? And so on. All these questions need to be asked. Team is very important. How do you balance between the need to keep your costs down and getting things done, as well as presenting a reasonably complete team to potential investors? While in 1 million by 1 million, we have no problems at all with solo entrepreneurs, investors do have problems with solo entrepreneurs, so you do need to present a team. So that's that would be, the next thing that you need to do is to go through and answer these questions and arrive at a reasonably comfortable place. If you're not yet in the 1 million by 1 million premium program, and you want to come talk to me about getting introduced to VCs, and you want me to review your business plan and give you some early preliminary feedback, I would be happy to do that in one of the free mentoring roundtables. So go ahead. 150,000 plus entrepreneurs have attended these sessions. So, we're available every week. You're most welcome to come. And also there's an investor introduction section on our website, which I request you to review before coming so that you have all your expectations set. We have answered all the FAQs and so forth. The other thing I would request you to do if you're thinking about approaching investors is go get a flavor of our investor community and their thought process on the Seed Capital series on our blog. These are available as podcasts, as text interviews, as video interviews, but we do have our investor community coming to our various different interview series and talking to you and sharing with you what are they looking for. Get a flavor for how investors think. Just as you're looking for product market fit, you also need investor entrepreneur fit. This is how you actually raise money, by finding an investor that is a good fit for your business. So those are, the steps, but this is a long answer to your question. What are some proven strategies for entrepreneurs to get phone meeting with VCs? We can introduce you to VCs. We can get you in front of VCs. We can even get you phone meetings under the current circumstances through our network. A lot of people have got those meetings, but I gave you a very long answer just because it is not automatic. Just because you join the 1 million by 1 million premium program does not get you access to our investor network. You have to qualify to get that kind of introduction. Okay, so that's a good starting point in how to think about the investor introduction issue. Now, I mentioned something about solopreneurs not being desirable for venture capitalists unless you've already got traction. You could get traction already, and then investors would look at a solopreneur business. So that is a caveat. But let me take a solopreneur question, actually. It's a good segue. How can a solopreneur build a tech business and achieve a 1 million to 5 million exit in 2 to 3 years? We're actually big believers in bootstrapping to exit. But to do this, remember, what is the equation? You're trying to build a solopreneur, trying to build a tech business to achieve a 1 million to 5 million exit in 2 to 3 years. It's a fairly rapid exit and a small exit. You're looking for an early small exit. Now, to do this, you would need to build something either 100% bootstrapped or spend a maximum of 250K of either personal savings or friends and family money, or find an investor who buys into this trajectory. There are a few investors who are playing this game as well, of early exit with a very small capital efficient investment strategy. In addition, you would need to fit into the strategic roadmap of a larger tech company. Alternately, you are a heavy hitter with unique technology domain expertise and a larger company wants to acqui-hire you to access your talent. That's also a scenario in which such an exit is possible. So if you go to our website under the Entrepreneur Journey section of the blog, you will find numerous case studies, including a lot of solopreneur case studies. Look for solo entrepreneur case studies, solo founder case studies, and you will find lots of them. And that's a good way to see how other people have done it. But there is a way to do this. There is a way to get to bootstrapping to exit with a very capital efficient, very frugal mode for a solo entrepreneur to find an exit. It is a viable thing to do. Okay, we're going to switch a little bit and talk about some startup ideas in different domains and how to find these startup ideas. The first question I'm going to take is, are there any good ideas for an online education startup? This is again a very timely question because online education has emerged to be one of the winners of the COVID-19 behavioral shift. So yes, absolutely. One observation I have from watching what's going on in the market is that the K through 12 online learning is doing poorly in the homeschooling mode. Right now, people are trying to learn in a homeschooling mode. Why is K through 12 not doing so well? Over 3/4 of the world's roughly 1.5 billion school children are currently out of school due to COVID-19 lockdowns. Schools are starting to open up in some places, but it's still spotty. One lesson from this crisis, we need access, universal internet access and computer access. And in 21st century America, this is the 5G digital highway that needs to be built as basic infrastructure as part of the rebuilding effort when this immediate crisis is over. So that is on the infrastructure side. But on the online education side, distance learning has to be thought through at a much deeper level. So far, we've been thinking that the shift is from sage on stage to guide on side within the classroom setting. So a teacher is a lecturer lecturing to an audience of students. We've been thinking online learning would bring to bear a guide on side model. So teachers have been using online tools like Khan Academy has been a very popular one in K through 12. Teachers would give you a homework of go study this particular module from Khan Academy. And then in class, they're acting as guide on side and they're doing exercises together and the teacher is available to come and help with specific exercises. Now, though, if we have to operate on a homeschooling mode, we need to think really self-guided learning that doesn't even require guide on side, because it's no longer possible for the teacher to be the guide on side if the student is at home. And it's a stretch for parents to be the guide on side, because if you're talking about teaching high school calculus, for instance, that may not be something a parent is qualified to teach or able to teach. So we need to figure out, how do we motivate kids to learn on their own? Is it possible? It's a hard problem and it's worth tackling. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite completely self-guided learning tools that I have been using extensively for the last 4 years is Duolingo. It's a language learning application. And I learned French on Duolingo. It's really a wonderful application, and it's got a lot of gamification built into it. It's got point systems, leaderboards, etc., crowns, gems, and it's got this whole vocabulary of gamification around it, and it works. So I've learned a lot of French without any other external help. Nobody else has worked with me. When I first started learning French, I had a tutor. But in the last 4 years, I have advanced my French greatly by just using Duolingo and studying on my own, and it has worked. So that's a good model to teach a lot of different things, whether it's calculus, high school calculus, or middle school algebra. All of that needs to be structured in the self-learning mode. And I think there are opportunities for all of those in that mode. Now, I'm going to give you a pointer as well of other ideas that you can look for. Go to, again, the 1 Million by 1 Million blog and go to the section on online education. On the left navigation bar, you will see online education. That is a Thought Leaders in Online Education interview series. I bring on people who are doing interesting things in the online education space to ask about what they're doing, to learn what they're doing, what they're seeing, what are the trends. And each conversation, at the end of each conversation, I ask these people, what are the white spaces? What are the open problems in your space? And they answer. So you will find answers to questions like these all the time. So one of the questions I asked in that interview series to Paul Kellenberger, who's the CEO of Zspace, and Paul talked about vocational learning as a white space in EdTech. You can look at that interview. It's Thought Leaders in Online Education, Paul Kellenberger, CEO of Zspace. And if you, towards the end of that interview, you will find a whole discussion on vocational learning. So that's a fairly comprehensive set of pointers for you to start thinking about online education ideas. I'll take another question, similar question. Are there any interesting mobile app business ideas? We do a similar series on thought leaders in mobile and social. And you can go look at that series for similar pointers. I asked the same question, what are the open problems in your space, to all my interviewees. In that process, we have unearthed ideas in Internet of Things, mobile app ideas that interface with Internet of Things. I just gave you a set of mobile app ideas within the online education space. There are a variety of different spaces where you can find mobile app ideas by digging around in the Thought Leadership series there. The next question is it possible to build $1 billion company without funding from a VC? The answer is yes. And I want to point you to case studies. I'll tell you one thing. In 1 million by 1 million, I don't give a lot of off-the-cuff answers. I try to answer whatever questions you might have, whatever methodology we want to teach you with case studies. We've done extensive case study work, and all 1,000+ case studies are available for free on our website under Entrepreneur Journeys. So the ones that I'm going to point you to in the context of building $1 billion company without funding from a VC are 2 case studies, Zoho and eClinicalWorks. Each of these companies have close to $1 billion in revenue. So if they went public today, their valuations would be $6 to $10 billion in the public market. Neither company is public, by the way. They want to remain private. So that's their choice. Both case studies are available. The name of the Girish Navani eClinicalWorks case study is Built to Enjoy, eClinicalWorks CEO Girish Navani. And the Zoho case study is Happily Bootstrapping, Zoho CEO Sridhar Vembu. Wonderful case studies, wonderful inspiring examples of entrepreneurs who have done it all the way to unicorn status with no outside financing. Related question is, where can I get free technology entrepreneurship case studies on the web? I actually just answered that question. It's on the Entrepreneur Journeys section of our blog. You'll find all our case studies for free. In addition, we've published 12 books based on the Entrepreneur Journeys series. They're all available digitally on Amazon. You can access them as well. The series title is Entrepreneur Journeys, and there are 12 volumes on different topics. And finally, the 1M by 1M basic program. You could go to the website and go to the basic program. It is a case study based online curriculum. So all of these are examples of how you can find case studies. And I strongly recommend that you study case studies, and you'll learn a lot. You will really get deep into understanding what are the methodology elements of how you do this. The next question is, how do you evaluate technology startup accelerator? Well, there's a whole lot of questions that you need to ask an accelerator before you join them. There are a lot of accelerators there. There's over 7,500 incubators and accelerators in the market, probably closer to 10,000. There is a very real knowledge gap in the early stage startup game on both sides of the table. First-time entrepreneurs lack the seasoning to captain a steady ship through turbulent waters. Inexperienced friends and family and increasingly crowdsourced investors lack the ability to gauge the viability of a business or to mentor naive entrepreneurs. This knowledge gap, I have come to believe, is best filled by savvy incubators and accelerators. However, these 7,500 to 10,000 accelerators out there, incubators and accelerators around the world, most of them fail. And that's a reality. You have to be aware of the fact that most of them don't know what they're doing. Startups are mushrooming globally. Incubators and accelerators are also mushrooming globally. So here are some questions that you should ask when you evaluate an accelerator. Are you taking equity? That's question number one. The matter of equity is a lot more complicated than most make it out to be. Not all great businesses are great investments. If an accelerator takes equity in a company that is better run as a cash business, then that equity is not going to result in a large exit. So before deciding on equity as compensation, try to understand whether the business is fundable and scalable and saleable. In fact, in designing your accelerator, whether or not to take equity is one of the most important decisions. If you take equity, then by definition, you are focusing on the less than 1% startups that will be fundable and qualify for a reasonable exit. By the way, in 1 million by 1 million, we do not take equity, which is why we do not only cater to the less than 1% fundable companies, we also cater to the over 99% others who do not necessarily qualify for venture capital financing. So we don't care whether you're fundable or not. We will help you regardless to build a business. Second question you need to ask is, does the accelerator offer you funding? Is that equity-based funding, which is dilutive, or debt-based funding, which is non-dilutive, or grant-based funding, which is also non-dilutive? If an accelerator is offering equity-based funding, then that accelerator is effectively acting as a venture fund. So the success metrics are same as those of a venture fund. And that means that you, as a company trying to join that accelerator, need to be venture fundable, because this fund is going to operate as a feeder into the downstream angel and VC network. So you better be fundable yourself, otherwise this is not going to work. You're going to fail. It is actually better to work with a non-equity based accelerator first to understand your business and get your bearing on how to put one foot before the other. What are the dynamics of your business before applying for an equity based accelerator? You can do non-equity based accelerator first and then go on to an equity based accelerator. That is a perfectly fine strategy. Ask the accelerator that you're evaluating whether they have a diagnostic methodology to determine whether a startup is fundable. Clearly, over 99% of the ventures are not fundable. So if an accelerator is offering funding, they are looking for fundable deals. So you need to know how they're going to evaluate you. And the next question, the follow-on question you should ask is, do they have a diagnostic methodology to determine whether a startup is VC fundable? Remember what I said, VCs want to go from 0 to 100 million in 5 years, 5 to 7 years. That's hypergrowth. And if you're going for VC financing, if the accelerator wants you to go for VC financing, then you need to be one of these hypergrowth companies. Is the accelerator checking for investor entrepreneur fit? VCs are not one size fits all. Do they have a good network that you can plug into to be able to find investors for your particular type of companies? Same guidance as before. We point you to our seed capital series of interviews so that you can kind of simmer in our investor network and get a feel for our investor network. Ask the accelerator if they're going to help you with your TAM model. TAM model is one of the most important things that you're going to need to learn. If they know how to teach you TAM, that's great. If they don't know how to teach you how to calculate TAM, and TAM is complicated. TAM involves positioning, which is my next question. Does the accelerator know how to teach you positioning? Can they help you pivot? Can they help you position your company? Really, really important. We do a very large percentage of our work with mentoring around positioning. It's one of the things that I know very well. So it's something that I've done all through my career, including 10 years of consulting. So it's one of our strengths. We're very good at it. And it's something that an early stage accelerator needs to be good at. But it's also something most of them have no clue about. Then comes the question of methodology. What methodology is the accelerator teaching? If they're blindly sending you to raise money, it's not going to work. Our methodology is bootstrap first, raise money later, or not at all. So our methodology is applicable to 100% of the tech startups out there. You could build a bootstrap business, you could build a venture-funded business, all of that is fine. Most incubators and accelerators operate as feeders into the venture capital space, so they only know the methodology of raising money. And if you're a bootstrap startup, you're going to fail if you go join one of these accelerators. And if you don't have hypergrowth, you shouldn't be joining one of these accelerators. Which begs the question, what curriculum is the accelerator following? Do they have a curriculum? We have a very good curriculum. We're using our curriculum to train entrepreneurs for over a decade. It's a proven curriculum, proven methodology, and you can learn at your own time and at your own pace using the curriculum, and then you can come to the roundtables for actual project-specific coaching and mentoring. You have to ask whether, before you join an accelerator, you have to ask whether they teach bootstrapping or not. It's a must, absolute must. Do they use case studies? As I told you, our philosophy is using case studies. Case studies are great because you can learn from what other people have been able to do. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's not as effective to teach methodology without case studies. And then you have to check whether the accelerator has a network of potential customers, potential investors, potential partners, channel partners, potential acquirers, media analysts, etc. How much influence do they have? What kind of a connection do they have? Connection is a very important piece of an accelerator. And then another question, if you're a tech startup, especially if you're going for a global market play, you most likely want to bridge into Silicon Valley. So you want accelerators who can provide you with a bridge into Silicon Valley. And then the last question I would ask is, what is the duration of the program? There are 3 to 4 month acceleration programs which don't really accomplish much. However, you can consider those if they have funding, especially if they have grant funding. Some of these 3 to 4 month programs have a small amount of grant funding, 25K, 15K, whatever. That with no dilution, that can be very helpful. But you still need, longer programs to learn. So you can do 1 million by 1 million, which is a 1-year annual membership fee-based program, and you can be in 1 million by 1 million for as many years as you want, as long as you have an active membership into the premium program. You can layer up 1 million by 1 million with these short-term grant accelerators from which you can get some funding while you do the longer-term learning through 1 million by 1 million. That will also work. So, we kind of think of ourselves as, complementary, supplemental to other acceleration programs, or you can just do 1 million by 1 million. That will also work. But make sure that you pick an accelerator that doesn't set you up for failure, but by forcing you to raise money rapidly, which may or may not work. Most of the time it doesn't work. Okay, folks, we are going to stop there. We are out of time. So as I said earlier at the beginning of the program, if you want feedback from me on your venture, on your particular project, please come to one of the 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtables, free public roundtables that happens on Thursday mornings. Go to the website, look at the schedule, register, and Maureen will send you instructions on what to do next. And I look forward to seeing you in one of the upcoming sessions. And then if you have questions, insert your questions in the public chat today and I will come and answer them. All right, folks, stay safe, be well, and we will continue to see you online for the foreseeable future. Bye-bye.